Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this super cool, I mean it's really cool, 3D looking scarf. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? And believe it or not, it's not even hard. You can double crochet. You can do it. You can do it. It's so cool. Here's the other side. Shells are just upside down. Isn't that awesome? Very three-dimensional, and it's nice. The yarn I use, or you could probably use any yarn, but it's airy enough to make a nice lightweight summer little scarf to go with any, you want to dress up an outfit. I like it. I think it turned out awesome. I don't think I would change a thing. Can you see the 3 dimensions in that? How it looks very three-dimensional. It's almost like the shells are twisting around each other. Super cool. But like I said, it's easy. Let me give you a measurement on that real quick. But you can always make your scarf longer and wider than mine. So the width of mine is about 6 inches. Just right almost at 6 inches. The length is relatively long. So the length is about 6 foot. Okay, but you remember, you can make your chain shorter if you want, or longer. So the chain that we start with is going to be the length of the scarf, and then each row will be the width. So it's about 6 foot and approximately 6 inches wide. I just can't get over how cool that looks from all different angles. It's super cool. Okay, so the yarn that I used is a Lion brand Date Nights. Boy, does it have a sparkle when it hits the sun. It's really pretty. Now, of course, you don't have to use this yarn. It is an acrylic polyester blend, and it's a medium weight number 4. Any medium weight number 4 will work. There's 273 yards per cake, and I went through almost completely 2 whole cakes. So 540 yards, 530, 540 yards, something like that. The color is called Zircon. That's the color that I used. I bought this online at Joann's in case you are interested. Alright, and then I'm going to be using a size I, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Now, this 3D block type stitch is done in a multiple of 4. Which means that your base chain needs to be evenly divisible by 4. So if you're following along with me and you want approximately close to a 6 foot scarf like mine, I chained 220 stitches. 220. Now I'm going to show you on a smaller scale since I already have my big piece done. But it's not hard at all. So once you get your long chain of 220, or if you prefer it shorter or longer, as long as it's done in a multiple before, what we're going to do is a single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. Remember, we don't count the one that's on our hook. So in the second stitch, we're going to single crochet. And now we're going to single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. Alright, once you make it to the end and you're following along with me, now you will have a total of 219 stitches. So now we're going to start row 2. And what we're going to do is chain 1 and turn our work. Now we are going to put a double crochet right here into this very first stitch. And now we're going to jump directly to the next stitch and we're going to work a shell. We're going to work 4 double crochets into that stitch. So 4 double crochets in the same stitch is what I'm going to call the shell. So go ahead and work your 4 doubles into the same stitch. So there's 2, 3, and there's 4. So I got my 4 doubles, and then there's this very first double on at the beginning. Now I'm going to start my repeat by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to skip 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. So skip, skip, skip. And the next one, I'm going to shell. I'm going to work 4 double crochets into that next stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. And then I'm going to repeat again. I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, skip 3, skip, 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 and shell into the next. And this is what we're going to repeat for row 2. It's chain 3, skip 3, and then shell into the next. And we want to do that until we get to the end of the row. Okay, I'm coming to the end now. I did a shell, and I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to skip 3, skip, skip, skip. I'm going to shell into the next. So 4 doubles there. And you should have 1 stitch that remains on the end. Right there I do. Go ahead and put a double crochet into that last stitch. So that will end row 2, and you should have a total of 55 shells. So now we're going to move on to row 3, which is the repeat row. It's just a 1 row repeat. That's all it is. So row 3 is a repeat row. We are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now we are going to double crochet right back into that very first stitch. Just like that. Now this is what we're going to do to get the 3D look. You see this shell, these 4 double crochets of the first shell. We're going to work in this one right here. I like to flip my work over in that last shell, kind of pull it out, or last stitch, kind of pull it out like that, and we're going to work 4 double crochets around the post from the behind of that last double crochet of our first shell. So there's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. And now we need to chain 2 in between the shells. So when you flip it back over, that's what it kind of looks like. The more rows you do, the more it'll start to look really, really cool. So we're gonna work into the next shell. So I grab the last stitch of the next shell, and I twist my work in front like this, and I grab that stitch and I kind of pull it out. That way it's easier for me to work in. And I want to put 4 double crochets right around the post of that shell. So there's 1. So we're working a shell right here around the post of the last shell from the behind. There's 3. And there's 4. And then again we need to chain 2 after each shell. So that is number 2. So again we're going to jump to our next shell. Here's our next shell. There's 4 double crochets. We want to work into the last one around the post of it. So I always flip my work in the front like this, lay it against my thumb, and I grab that post and I pull it out. That way it's easier for me to work in. And I'm going to shell around that post. So 4 double crochets right around the post. there's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4, and then we need to chain 2, and then we're going to repeat this until we get to the end of the row. All right, when you make it to the end of the row, your last shell here, so we have a shell, 4 double crochets, and we have our double crochet on the end. Again, we want to work into the last double crochet of this last shell, so this one right here. So I kind of flip it over and pull it out so I can work around the post of it, and I want to work a shell, 4 double crochets right around the post of it. So there's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. And now we're going to end the round. Go ahead and flip the front side back up to where your last double crochet is, and just double crochet into the top of that last double crochet, and that'll end row 3. And that's the repeat row for the whole pattern. We'll still have 55 shells. Do you want to do it again? Let's do it one more time real quick. So what we're going to do, we're just going to repeat what we just did. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So we double crochet right back into the very first stitch. Like that. And then we come up to our next shell, or our first shell. Remember, we want to work in the last double crochet of the shell. I always pull it back like this. Don't get confused because you have more rows now. You see, this is the previous row. We don't want to work on that. We want to work into this shell right here. Pull it out. It's easier just to kind of stretch it out so you know where you're going. And you want to work a shell around the post of that last double crochet. So 4 double crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. And then we have to chain 2 after our shell, and then when you twist it back around, there it is. We're going to work on our next shell. So we find the last double crochet of that shell, flip the work in the back, flip it over your thumb. If you find an easier way, I just always find it easier to flip that over, grab that, pinch it, and pull it out. That way I know where I'm working. And you work a shell around the post of that last double crochet of our next shell. So 4 doubles, and then we chain 2. There we go. Again, we come up to our next shell. We find our last double crochet right here, flip it around, grab it, pinch it together, pull it out, and work a shell around the post. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And you just repeat this. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 double crochets for the shell. And you just repeat this to the end. Chain 2. Now I'm coming up on the end. I have my last shell here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find the last double crochet of my last shell. I'm going to pinch it and pull it out, and I'm going to work a shell around the post of it. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, I'm not going to chain 2. We don't chain 2 after the last one. We go ahead and go directly into the last double crochet and just double crochet into the top of it. And that's it. We just keep repeating those rows. You're always going to have 55 stitches. Gosh, it looks super cool. You know, my pictures don't do it justice, and my camera doesn't do it justice. I mean, it's a super cool stitch in real life. I think that it's just like a twisting shell pattern is what it looks like. It's really cool. So you want to keep repeating that until you get it as wide as you want it to be. Okay, I done a total of 13 rows, and that is counting that single crochet row. You can do it wider if you want. Remember, mine's about 6 inches. Now, there's one difference that we do on the very last row. Nothing big. It's just one little difference that we do. So once you get your 13 rows done, if you follow me, or wider if you want, and you're working on your last row, we chain 1 and turn our work. Go back in and double crochet again into the same very first double crochet, and we do our shell in the last double crochet or in of the first shell here. So flip it over just like always. One, 2, 3, 4, and here's the difference. You chain 1 on your last row instead of 2. That's it. That's the only difference. And then you bring it back again, find your next shell, the last double crochet. Remember, this is what we do on our last row. Flip it over and do a shell into the last double crochet of the next shell, working from the behind like we have been. Oops. Chain 1 instead of chain 2. That's it. That's the only difference. Your last row will have a chain 1 in between instead of a chain 2, and everything else is exactly the same. And that's it. Remember, you can make it wider if you want, longer if you want. It is completely up to you. I think it's super cool. I'm going to make some more stuff out of this stitch. I really like it. So, if you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Give it a share if you can. Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. If you make this or anything from my tutorials, you can always tag me on Instagram, show me on my Facebook page. I always like to see what everybody makes from my tutorials. But that's it. I hope you're able to follow along, okay? If you look over there on the right hand side of the screen, I am going to put a link of all my tutorials. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Maybe if you get a chance, you'll want to look through there and find something else that you want to make. I love this. I might just wear this. I'm not really a scarf person, but I think it's super cool. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good day.